Some kinds of strength don't shout. They don't wear medals, don't post updates, don't leave proof. Some strength just gets up again, quietly, tenderly, even when nothing's changing. And maybe that's where you are right now. Still showing up, still breathing through the ache, still holding things together no one else can see. You've learned how to function in the fog, to press on without clarity, to care for others with a heart that's frayed and thin. And no one's really asked how much it's costing you. But God has, and He's asking now. Not because you failed, not because you're weak, but because you've carried too much, for too long, in silence. This moment, this very breath, is not another test of endurance. It's an invitation to stop striving just long enough to be held, to let go just enough to be found. You're not being asked to fix it all, only to pause, only to listen. Because the one who sees your quiet strength has something sacred to say. He knows you're exhausted, and He's not disappointed. He's drawing near. Stay with me here, because in the next few minutes, you're going to hear something meant only for you. Something your soul has needed to hear for a very long time. You didn't press play by accident. You didn't stumble here by coincidence. Something deeper brought you something you might not have words for. But your heart knows. Your body knows. The ache, the fatigue, the silent hope. It's all been leading here. Because there are moments in life when the soul gets tired of pretending, tired of smiling while quietly unraveling, tired of carrying a faith that feels heavy instead of healing. You've held on for others. You've stayed strong for their peace, not yours. You've said I'm fine when you were anything but. And yet here you are, still open, still listening, still hoping there's more than just survival. Can I tell you something sacred? You are not being overlooked. Heaven still sees you, even in your numbness, even in your emptiness, even when all you can offer is the fact that you're still breathing. There's a word in this moment, not a sermon, not a lesson, but a whisper, personal, precise, timely. And if you'll stay just a little longer, you might feel something begin to soften again, like a flicker coming back after too many cold nights. Let this space be a shelter for your soul. And if you feel it, that gentle resonance, that quiet breath of peace, you're welcome to stay with us. Here at Calm, Called, we walk slow, we listen deep, and we wait together for what God is gently unfolding. Subscribe now, not as a task, but as a way to stay close the next time your soul needs a safe place to land. Somewhere along the way, you started believing that being tired meant you were doing something wrong. That exhaustion was weakness, that needing rest was a sign of falling behind. But what if it's not? What if it's proof that you've been pouring from a deep well of love, even when it cost you? You didn't give up when it got hard. You kept showing up in rooms where your presence was unnoticed. You kept praying even when the answers didn't come. You kept loving people who didn't know how to hold you back. That's not failure. That's sacred endurance. Exhaustion, in the hands of God, is not a disqualification. It's a signal, a signpost, a whisper from the Spirit saying, "You've been faithful, now let me hold what you've carried." You weren't meant to earn rest. Rest was always part of the rhythm. Even Jesus stepped away. Even He wept. withdrew, breathed. So why do you feel guilty for needing what he himself embraced? You're not weak. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're human and deeply loved. And now, you're invited to release what you've held too tightly, to loosen your grip and trust that what is meant for you will not fall apart when you rest. Because the one who called you knows the cost. He saw every unnoticed kindness. He felt every silent tear, and he's not asking you to prove yourself. He's asking you to receive, to stay, to let this be the moment where the shift begins. It's hard not to compare. You see their progress, their announcements, their open doors and shining moments. And you wonder, why does it feel like you've been overlooked? Why are you still in the quiet place? Why hasn't the breakthrough come, at least not the way you imagined? But what if this season isn't punishment? What if it's protection? Not behind, not forgotten, but hidden on purpose. You see, there are seasons in the Spirit when God doesn't rush to reveal us, not because He's cruel, but because He's careful. Careful with your heart, careful with your calling, careful with the weight that will one day rest on your shoulders. Healing doesn't always feel productive. It rarely posts well, but it prepares you for the places your soul will be stretched, for the people you'll one day carry, for the moments when your voice will need to be steady, not just loud. God doesn't withhold visibility to punish you. He withholds it to preserve you, to fortify you, to develop roots deep enough to hold the weight of rain and sun alike. You are not in delay. You are in development. The kind the world doesn't notice but heaven applauds. Even now, He's tending to parts of you that others can't see, softening old scar tissue, realigning broken trust, teaching your spirit to breathe before it speaks. This isn't wasted time. This is sacred time. And when it's time, when the healing has finished its work, even the hidden parts, no one and nothing can stop the unveiling. You'll step forward, not rushed, not resentful, but rooted, ready. So breathe, beloved. You're not falling behind. You're being brought back to life, gently, one holy moment at a time. You've been praying for a while, asking, waiting, holding on. And maybe if you're honest, you've started wondering if God forgot. If the silence means you've done something wrong. If the delay means the promise was never real. But delays in heaven are never about denial. They're about alignment, and sometimes about protection. Because answers come with weight, and God, in His mercy, prepares you not just to receive, but to carry. You don't just want the door to open. You want to be strong enough to walk through it with grace, to hold the blessing without letting it crush your soul. Think of a bridge not yet finished, the support beams still curing, the foundation still being tested. Would you want to cross it too soon? What you're waiting for may be more than just a moment. It might be a mantle, a responsibility wrapped in beauty, and God knows the timing that will protect both the gift and you. He's not being silent to punish you. He's being strategic to shield you. Shielding your heart from false starts. Shielding your future from burdens you aren't meant to bear yet. Sometimes the holiest thing God can do is wait. Wait until you're not rushing, not desperate, but anchored, rooted, ready. And if it feels like it's taking too long, maybe it's because the answer is heavier, holier than you imagined, and He loves you too much to let it arrive underprepared. Even the silence is part of His speaking. Even the delay is part of His doing. And even now, right now, He's moving more than you can see, So take heart, not because the wait is over, but because the waiting is not in vain, and the weight you've carried will soon be matched by the weight of what's coming. There are moments in life that look ordinary on the surface. A quiet afternoon, a familiar room, a simple video playing in the background. But underneath, something begins to move. Something shifts, not loudly, not dramatically, but deeply. And this may be one of those moments for you, not because everything outside has changed, but because something inside you is beginning to wake up again. You thought the shift would come with signs, with confirmation, with clarity, but what if it comes in stillness instead? What if breakthrough first sounds like a whisper instead of a trumpet? The soul doesn't always shift through noise. Sometimes it changes direction in the hush, when the spinning slows, when the heart stops bracing for impact, when you finally exhale. Right now, in this still moment, something sacred is surfacing, a quiet awareness that you don't need to be who you were yesterday. That healing doesn't need an announcement. That permission to start again is already yours. You're not just listening anymore, you're receiving. The soil of your soul is softening. Old fears are loosening their grip, and the spirit is whispering, "Now, even now, let me shift what you thought was stuck." You don't need to force it, just notice it. This moment is not a detour. It's a recalibration, a gentle returning to who you were before the noise. And while nothing around you may look different yet, your internal landscape is already changing. Perspective is being restored. Resentment is melting into release, and your soul, exhausted but willing, is choosing to trust again. So don't rush past this. Let the shift complete its work. The surface may still feel the same, but underneath, heaven is turning the tide. There's a weight that grace was meant to carry. And there's a weight you were never meant to hold alone. But somewhere in the striving, you picked up things too heavy for your hands, expectations that weren't yours, responsibilities you never had peace about, emotional burdens you felt too guilty to lay down. You've learned how to carry it all, but not how to release it. And now, your body aches, your mind runs on fumes, and your spirit whispers what your lips won't admit. I can't keep holding this. But here's the sacred truth. God never asked you to prove your worth by your capacity. He never measured your holiness by how much pain you could endure. Grace was always meant to go before you, to lift what hustle cannot. There's a reason it's called a burden when it's outside of grace. Because without grace, even good things become heavy. Even service turns into self-erasure. Even obedience can feel like punishment when it's driven by fear instead of trust. So take a breath. Let this be a moment of sacred confrontation. Not shame, not guilt, just honesty. What are you carrying that grace hasn't assigned you? Whose approval are you chasing that God never required? What internal standard have you created that the Father never asked you to reach? Lay it down, name it, hold it out to Him. Let the Spirit speak into the places where you've confused exhaustion for faithfulness. You were never meant to carry the full weight of your life alone. Even Jesus had help carrying His cross. And if the Son of God didn't do it alone, why do you think you should? This isn't weakness. This is wisdom. And grace, real, holy grace, doesn't demand more from you. It delivers what you could never earn. So exhale, and let what was never yours return to the hands that can hold it. You're not failing. You're learning the rhythm of release. There are parts of you that once trusted without fear, that moved without second guessing, that believed love could be safe and purpose could be peaceful. But over time, the world bruised those places. Wounds made you cautious. Disappointments taught you distance. Even sacred things, prayer, community, vulnerability, began to feel risky. And slowly, almost without noticing, you started pulling back. Not all at once, just enough to protect the tender places. You still believed in God, but closeness started to feel dangerous. You prayed with caution, listened with filters, approached purpose with one hand open and one hand guarding. But the truth is, there are things God never meant to hurt you, things that still carry beauty, even if they've been misused by broken people. Prayer wasn't meant to feel like performance. Worship wasn't meant to reopen shame. The voice of God was never meant to sound like fear. And right now, you're being gently invited, not pushed to return. Not to religion, not to pressure, but to simplicity, to the softness of presence, to the quiet safety of a love that doesn't demand but delights. This return isn't about going backward. It's about remembering what was true before the wounds. It's about reclaiming what was yours before the pain rewrote the script. Like a child stepping back into a familiar garden, noticing the fragrance again, feeling the sun again, trusting the ground again. God is restoring your sacred senses, your ability to feel peace again, to trust without bracing, to breathe in the nearness of God without holding your breath. It won't happen all at once, but the return has already begun. In this moment, in this whisper, in the soft rebuilding of your soul. Not every place from your past is meant to be revisited, but the places where love was pure, where grace felt near, those are worth returning to. And even now, God is walking with you toward them again, one safe step at a time. There's a strange kind of stillness that settles in after a long season of hoping. Not peace, not surrender, just numbness. You don't feel angry, exactly. You're not even sure you feel much at all. And that unsettles you, because you used to be so in tune, so sensitive, so moved. Now, you pray and feel nothing. You worship and feel distant. You hear promises and they echo without landing. But listen closely. Your numbness is not faithlessness. Your dryness is not rebellion. Your silence is not separation. Sometimes, the deepest faith is what continues in the absence of feeling. It's what keeps breathing when nothing stirs. It's what shows up when the fire has gone out, but the altar still stands. You are not failing. You are walking through the valley where roots grow deeper. Not because you feel inspired, but because you chose to stay. Faith is not a feeling. It's a posture, a quiet decision to keep facing the light, even when your eyes are tired. Think of a winter field. From above, it looks barren, but beneath the frozen ground, the soil is still nourishing the seed. The life is hidden, not absent. The process is silent, but sure. And so it is with your soul. Even now, even here, you are still growing. God hasn't withdrawn. He's simply walking with you through the part of the path where vision dims, but presence deepens. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not forgotten. You are being rooted, anchored, strengthened beneath the surface for what is still to come. Even numbness can be holy ground, because faith that endures without feeling is faith refined. Sometimes we don't notice our own becoming. We measure progress by movement, by milestones, by the visible things. But there's another kind of growth, one that happens in stillness, in the quiet yes, in the unseen surrender. You've been in the waiting room of heaven, praying, hoping, wondering, trying not to let disappointment harden your heart, trying to stay tender, even when the answers didn't come. And you've grown. Oh, how you've grown. Not everyone can see it, but the Spirit has, God has, and maybe, just maybe, you're beginning to see it too. You don't react the same. You forgive faster. You see through things more clearly. You listen longer before speaking. You rest instead of pushing. That's growth. That's wisdom. That's transformation. You've become softer but stronger, quieter but deeper. You've lost illusions and found integrity. You've shed the urgency to prove and learned the joy of being. Think of a mountain slowly formed beneath pressure. It doesn't rise in days, it takes time. Invisible layers stacking, unseen foundations settling, until one day it breaks the surface, and the world finally sees what heaven has watched all along. This is you, becoming, emerging, not all at once but in rhythms of mercy. And even if you can't fully name it yet, there's a quiet voice within you whispering, "I'm not who I was, and that matters." You didn't waste the waiting. The waiting shaped you, and what's coming will not find you unprepared. There are stories you've never told, moments that marked you, but stayed hidden, tears you cried in the dark, then wiped away before morning. You never wanted pity. You weren't looking for attention. You just didn't know where to place the weight, so you carried it alone and smiled anyway. But heaven saw, God saw. Every small act of kindness you offered through pain, every time you held space for others while your own heart was breaking, every prayer you whispered when your voice was barely steady. Nothing was missed. Nothing was wasted. You may have felt invisible, but you were fully known. And now, in this sacred moment, God is not just acknowledging what happened, He's honoring how you endured it. You didn't turn bitter. You didn't let the wounds define you. You chose compassion. You stayed open. You kept trusting, even when it hurt. This is holy resilience, the kind that doesn't get applause, but gets heaven's attention. The kind that shapes leaders, intercessors, healers not through ease, but through quiet fire. And here's the sacred synthesis. You weren't being punished. You were being entrusted. Entrusted with pain not to break you, but to deepen you. Entrusted with silence not to isolate you, but to teach you how to hear God in the stillness. The weight you've carried has become the oil that now flows from your life. And others will be healed because you didn't let the fire burn you bitter. You let it refine you. So let this moment land. You are not unseen. You are not unheard. You are not forgotten. You are deeply known, and now, gently, gloriously, you are rising. You've tried so hard to stay strong, to keep holding it all together, to be faithful, calm, brave, even when no one knew the storm inside. But what if strength was never the requirement? What if the invitation was never about holding more, but about letting go? He's not asking for your performance. He's not waiting on your perfection. He's not measuring your devotion by your ability to endure alone. He's just asking for your presence, your heart, your surrender, right here, just as you are. You don't have to impress Him. You don't have to explain why it's been so hard to pray lately. You don't even need words. Just be still and let Him come close. Let's pray not to perform but to return. Let every word be a breath, every silence be holy, and every ache a place He can fill. God, I don't have much left, but what I have, I give you. The tired parts, the worn out places, the pieces I've tried to carry by myself. I surrender them now, not because I've figured everything out, but because I trust that you already have. You see me, you know me, and you're not asking for more effort. You're asking for surrender. So I let go of the weight, of the pressure, of the illusion that I had to earn your nearness. Be near, Lord, even now, especially now. Amen. Let that prayer linger. Let it stretch past these final words and into your next breath, because this moment isn't an ending, it's a return. Back to stillness, back to presence, back to the quiet assurance that you are fully known and fully held. And if something inside you softened today, if a part of you finally exhaled, you don't have to walk this healing path alone. Stay close with us at Calm, Called, so when the next whisper of peace comes, it finds you ready to receive it. Subscribe now, not for content, but for connection. Let's walk this unfolding together.